Hi, I'm Michael Woods, Chief Scientist at the Asian Turfgrass Center. This is the ATC Double Cut, where I talk about the things that I've written about on the ATC blog and give some of that content a double cut treatment by talking about something that I've already written. I'm pleased to announce that today I have a special guest. Welcome to the show, Joe Gulotti.
Micah, how are you? Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
I I'm doing well, and I'm glad to have you here. You are the host. For anybody who doesn't know, you're the host of the Talking Greenkeeper podcast, which a lot of people say is their favorite podcast in the greenkeeping, turfgrass management, golf course maintenance industry. So, congratulations on getting that type of acclaim.
Well, thanks, Micah. You know what I attribute it to?
Um, your skill and hard work. That's my guess.
Just consistency. Just putting it out there every week. Consistency. Making it so right now I'm recording on Thursdays. I record on Thursdays and they come out Thursday evenings, and it's mostly there for most superintendents, greenkeepers, golfers who listen on Friday morning when they wake up. It's there. It's been there every Friday morning, probably. Dude, I've done close to 42 episodes since last September, and I just made a commitment to being consistent. And I think being consistent, doing the reps, and just getting better at it. I think that, Micah, the more you practice at something, the better you get.
Yeah, if you're practicing properly. So,
True.
but yeah, I listen to, I would say, 90% of the episodes. That I'll admit there's a couple of them where I just I can't find the guest. Uh, I just find the topic is not how should I say it? The topic is
Interesting
not
enough. Yeah,
yeah,
it just
it's
doesn't pique your interest. It's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
and it's perfect. It's perfect to have you on the show. This is your second time that
Yeah.
you've been on the double cut, and I thought it's perfect to have you on this show because when we talked last time, we talked about one of the blog posts that nobody read, the
Right.
duds, the stuff that I write on my blog that nobody cares about, and I thought
Uh-huh.
you're an interesting guy, and it's
Thank
interesting to
you.
talk with you. So I thought let's talk about the stuff that I've written that bombed. And so let's do that again today, shall we?
I would love to, Mike. I would love to. So what do you have in mind?
Well,
What do you have in mind?
what I have in mind, I'm just gonna put up real quick before
Okay.
I share what's on my mind to talk about. Follow Joe on Twitter at hardg43s. Did I get the right account?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Hard
Oh,
G43. That's perfect. I see it right there on the left bottom corner. It's on my left bottom corner.
yep.
So, yeah,
And I'll
perfect.
put a link to this because I'll put a link to your podcast in the description
Awesome.
and I'll put a link here on Twitter. I know you generally announce your new episodes on Twitter, so I know a lot of people that are listening to this probably already listened to your show, but check it
Yeah.
out. Oh,
You never know. You always can get, hey, this is awesome. Anybody could find out. I love it.
I've got a question too.
Yeah, go
Before
ahead.
before we talk about my posts that nobody cares about,
Uh huh.
and I keep writing them, but I I have a question. I
Yeah.
listened to a show, and you talked to a gentleman from the UK. I think he's Scottish, working in England, by the name of James Bledge, and
Yes.
he's going to be the head greenkeeper or the course manager at the Open Championship next year, which is at Hoylake Royal Liverpool. And you guys were talking like you're going to be podcasting from the maintenance facility there during the Open. Are you guys just joking, or is that really
No, I
happening?
mean, listen, it's, there's a lot of moving parts, right? Let me go, Frank. Let me unpack this, Micah. Um,
good one.
So yeah, let me unpack this for you. Um, so anyway, yes, that is the plan. That is the tentative plan. All I really need to do is get there. But okay, so I need the right. I need a computer. I need microphones. I need headphones. So am I going to pack up all my gear, an interface? I need everything that I need to record with, right?
I've got a I've
I'm
got a
gonna.
rec I've got a recommendation for you.
Okay, awesome. Let me hear it.
There's a gentleman who's been a guest on your show by the name of
I think
Bjarni
I know.
Hannesson in
Yes.
Iceland, and uh, I've got some travel coming up, and I didn't want. I've got this big microphone on a boom, and I've also got an interface and various audio recording stuff set up,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of a hassle to travel with this, and
I
I'm
mean,
afraid
you've
of it
heard
getting.
about the. Yeah, I mean, you've heard about the travel nightmares lately. How tough it is to travel. I can't imagine if I had to pack my, my iMac and my interface and every. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Micah.
So my recommendation is contact Bjarni, tell him what you want to accomplish, and he will recommend the gear and uh, the type of things that you should consider for making that successful and getting good audio. So
That.
I just bought a new microphone for a
Uh huh.
reasonable price. I bought a new type of way to connect that microphone to my to how I'm going to record it to my computer. And yeah, it's good. So Bjarni has given me a lot of great advice, and it's worked good for me. And he's very generous with sharing his extensive knowledge about audio and recording.
Yeah, Bjarne's great. I know he is. I know that he's helped out. I know that he's put tweets out asking if any superintendents that are doing any multimedia sort of presentations that he's willing to help with sound and audio and those things. Fortunately, I just know a couple people in this area that have recording studios. My best friend Nick Rotundo, rest in peace. I lived with him in the late '90s in an apartment in Newark, Delaware, and he had a recording studio underneath our apartment in the garage of the apartment. And that's what Nick did for a living. He was a recording engineer. So I believe this mic that I'm using right now was from Nick's studio back in the late '90s. It's a Shure mic. I don't have, which was kicked down to me by my boy Chuck Wallace, this kid that I grew up with, that I've known since, gosh, since I can remember, Michael. We used to BMX bike around our neighborhood together. He has a recording studio in his house. He's a musician. He has people over. They record. So Chucky was the one who set me up with all of my equipment and sort of helped me up with the garage band and got me set up. But that's what I need to do. That's what I need Chucky to come with me to Great Britain, to the UK, to help me set this up. But yeah, dude,
That's yeah.
that's the
You need to
deal.
travel. You need to travel with a entourage, right? Your team, right?
Oh,
You
jeez.
should, because you talk about like the talking greenkeeper. It's like your show, but should start talking about it as like you're just one piece of the big team that makes it so successful, right?
That would be incredible. There are some people that help me contribute. You're one of them, Mike. I talk to you quite often, and I know that you give me a lot of great positive feedback. Michael Stakowitz is another one. James Huntoon. Those guys are constantly hitting me up and just letting me know that I'm doing well. You too, and it's nice to have that positive reinforcement because I don't know how you feel, Micah, after you do an episode, but I know that sometimes when I'm done an episode that I feel most of the time I feel like they didn't do well. Whenever I finish recording, I think to myself, I don't know if this is a good episode. I don't feel good about this one. And then the next day comes and you'll throw me a text and you'll be like, "Oh, I really like that latest episode," or Huntoon will hit me up, or Michael Stakowitz will hook me up. Michael Stakowitz is sending 8 people that he works for to Greenkeeper University because of and that's the beauty of it, right? Like that's what's so cool. So yeah, I have all these people that and I get emails and positive it's just pretty awesome. So yeah, I have a little entourage, but it's mostly, it's a one man show for the most part.
Well, good. Well, I hope that you take your one man show to Hoylake in July 2023 and you sort out that recording hardware.
I mean, as long as we can figure that out, that's fine. I know
Man,
that
I would
there
say
will
that's the
be.
least. I would say getting time off work midsummer, um, just arranging for a midsummer holiday and getting getting a place to stay and
Well, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and
There's
just being
there's
able
some
to afford
logistics
the
involved.
trip. Yeah.
There's some logistics involved, sure. And listen, I spoke on the podcast a weeks ago about our family going to Lake Placid, New York, and that's something that I probably would have to sacrifice a vacation with my family in the midsummer, which that's number one to me, Micah. That my family is the dearest to me, and I just have to sacrifice that. But I'm willing to, if we can make this work out. I think it's going to. I would give it an 90% chance right now that
Well,
it's going to happen.
well, that's exciting. That's
Yeah, and I
good.
think it'll be
Can you
cool.
imagine?
Like it.
Can you imagine daily shows during the open and how interested people would be just to hear about how they're fixing divots? What are they putting in the divot mix? Because that's a big thing.
I
As I mentioned
know.
before, in the UK, you got to fix the divots.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just what the weather is going to be like. Could they be suffering through another crazy heat wave where it's in the low 30s?
Ah, yeah, I don't know. It's extreme weather there
Yeah. I
recently.
mean,
So,
Tiger Woods coming back.
yeah.
Rory, who will be the young gun that wins it? Because think about, well, Tiger wasn't really a young gun when he won it in six. He was pretty well established, and Rory's young. So who was it going to be next year? Who was going to come out of? Who's going to be the good golfer? I don't know. It's just it'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be great if I could get someone like that to get down to the maintenance shed, right? That's sort of the dream, right?
Yeah. That Yeah, I don't know. I if you talk to golfers, I would like to have them talk about playing conditions, right? Like
Yeah.
I would want to know if they care about putting on greens that are recently sand top dressed, or if they'd rather not. That's all I really care about is the turf grass related issues. So I would like to hear you talk with people from Biga, talk with people from the greenkeeping support team that are there helping to rake bunkers, talking to the regular maintenance staff about how they've prepared the course and those sorts of things. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, if you get Rory McIlroy to come down to the maintenance shop talk about to talk with you on the Talking Greenkeeper, I would love to hear about how does he care if somebody's mowing the rough while he's hitting a shot?
Yeah,
Like
I know.
those
It's
kind of things.
interesting,
I
right?
want it to be about maintenance.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, those are the kind of things that I would ask him about. Yeah, of course. I'd be
Awesome.
prepared. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Are you ready? Let's jump into this post, which uh, last time you were on the show, we did 2018, the one of the posts that was read
The
the
carbon.
least. And
It caused a
we're
little ruckus on it. Caused a little ruckus on social media.
that was good. Yeah. don't overdo the carbon because what microbes are lacking is nitrogen. So if you want to stimulate microbes, maybe just toss it a little nitrogen, boom.
There you
It
go.
So we're going to jump ahead to 2019. One of the posts that got the fewest views was grass on the Kumamoto City tram lines. And this is the kind of thing that absolutely fascinates me and nobody else cares about. And
Dude, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm in Kumamoto on the island of Kyushu, and there's trams all over the city, and there's grass on the train lines. It's the most amazing thing because I care about grass. I think most of my readers care about grass, and I care about grass all around the world. I don't understand why everybody doesn't think this is one of the most interesting things as a break from nitrogen and carbon and irrigation and stuff like that. But I know from long experience that if we count the number of views and count the things that people are actually clicking through to look at and read on the website, this is the type of post that tends to just bomb. But when I write it and when I choose which pictures to show and I craft the words that I'm using to explain what was going on, I have some optimism, some misplaced optimism, obviously, that people will read it. But then out of, I don't know, probably 90 posts or something in 2019, this one was number 2 in terms of fewest views. So I give it another chance on the double cut. I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Did you remember this one when it came out?
Absolutely, and I loved it because it's like the sixth hole at Inniscrone, which is a 90-yard par three downhill, quirky as hell. And that's what I love. I love quirkiness. I love weirdness. I love interesting things. And when I saw this, I'm thinking, why would a city put grass on a train line, a tram line? And why would they put grass? So, Micah, one of my favorite things to do when we're driving to the beach or we drove to Lake Placid, going up 87 north, hitting the Adirondacks, right? You look at the side of the road, you look at the grasses and you look at the flowers and how it's maintained, and that's what I'm checking out to sort of occupy my time. And I'm this post that you had, it's I really liked it. I thought it was so interesting. And look at that turf. And for those listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to tell, but the turf looks like a Titleist Pro V1 would sit up so wonderfully on it. And you could hit a lob wedge, a lob shot over the tram as it was coming at you, and become this trick shot artist that maybe gets popular on Instagram, right? It's just, I don't know. There's so many possibilities with this. I loved it. I thought it was just so wonderful.
Yeah,
So many questions it opens in my mind about, okay, so who was the city planner that decided, let's put some grass on the middle of the train, right? Like, do you know?
I don't know, but I know in Kyushu there's a number of major cities like Fukuoka, Kumamoto. This is about Kumamoto, and there's also Kagoshima, and there's also Miyazaki. And I know in Kagoshima they also have grass on the tram lines, which I've seen on YouTube because it turns out that they have this ridiculous mowing system, and
Yes.
and this kind of thing, like, it's just amazing. I'll play a video and let me see if this plays. This is like, yeah, you see, it's like a vacuum system,
Yeah.
and it's a real mower. I think it's a real mower. And I think this costs like $200,000, something
I
like
think,
that.
yeah, I remember it was something outrageous yen, and I think it actually translated to, I want to say, if I remember correctly, Mike, at 340,000 American, 345,000 American dollars.
It's something expensive, and it's got a vacuum system to pick up the clippings, and they just drive this train. It's a train that's a reel mower. It's showing the reels right now,
Yeah, yeah, there it is
and
right there.
it's got a bed knife, and it's just it's obviously a custom machine, but
That
I
they
just think
made. Yeah.
of all the types of turf in the world, it's just an amazing thing. This one I think is not. This one isn't showing it actually cutting. There's another video that I think. Oh, they're doing it at night, right? That would make sense.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
So this other video, it shows this thing actually cutting the grass at night. Right. So it's just driving very slowly and just cutting the grass.
Yeah, I mean, please
Let's
give
see,
me
do it.
that job when I retire. I would love to just drive a tram in a Japanese city at night, cutting the grass on the tram line.
I right.
What did he
So
say there? Could you translate what he said there, Micah?
I did not hear what he said. I
I
I
gotcha.
I did not catch that. So um that's that is the kind of thing, these grasses on the tram lines that I don't know why do you think it is that these type of posts don't, why are they not the most popular? The ones that I give a turf tourism hashtag about turf grass around the world. Um, I have some speculation. I guess people are just busy doing their jobs, and so they can't have and maybe they have enough. They're interested to get things from me that are actually useful rather than just informative for the most part. And so if I have a advice about how to use wetting agents effectively or something like that, that would get
Yeah, get crushed, right?
that'll get double or triple the number of views that something like this will. Where for
Right.
me, I think it's kind of boring, some of that stuff, but I share it because it's useful. But I'm absolutely fascinated about the variety of grasses that are used and the variety of locations in which grasses are found around the world and how they are maintained around the world and what the different challenges are. That for me is it's more interesting. And so I when I see stuff like that, I give it a tourism hashtag. And when I see
Yeah.
something like this, we were rolling into this town. I was doing some work for a company in Japan, so we're going around visiting golf courses, and we roll into town. And I saw, wow, there's grass on the tram line. So I pull out the camera, roll down the window, stick my head and camera out the window, start snapping pictures. And then I got up early the next morning, went out from the hotel, walked around, took a lot of pictures. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh, I can't wait to write a blog post about this and share stuff. And then it's one of the posts that just completely bombs in terms of comparison to all the other posts that I wrote in 2019.
I think it's okay. So, a few things. Number one, I remember
Can you
calling you.
unpack this for me?
Let me unpack this for you, Mike. So, I remember calling you, and I'm an idea person. I'm constantly coming up with ideas, things that I want to do, and one of my ideas was to start sort of a website where, to make a long story short, creating just a, oh God, I don't want to say this without sounding like a jerk. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a jerk. I wanted to create a more modern turf net, right? That's what I call. Remember? Do you remember that call I made to you last year?
I remember.
Yeah. So I thought that there might be this opportunity to get people that were forward thinkers and interesting thinkers, people like you, Micah, who blog about the grass on the train lines in Japan, in the cities in Japan. That's the kind of people that I'm thinking of, right? To be involved with this. And you made a good point. You said people only have so much time, and there's so much competition out there for your time. You have YouTube, Netflix, you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have TikTok now, and there are so many outlets competing for your time and your eyeballs, right, and your ears. And
Mm-hmm.
you said, I just don't think that there's enough there for people to want to just come there on the regs. And I think it's similar to this post. It's I find it super interesting, and I do the same thing with the podcast. Let's use Michael Cantor as an example. Michael Cantor, interesting, really cool person. I love his story. He's an art teacher, right in our wheelhouse, right, Micah? I mean, who doesn't love an art teacher? Did you like your art teachers growing up and coming to school?
That was a long time ago, and I don't remember, but I will
I
just
mean,
say I don't have I'm neutral on that because I don't recall, but I will say that if I had an art teacher like Michael Cantor, that would have been my favorite class because
yeah,
he is
exactly.
an amazing guy who I've had a chance to meet and spend some time with, and he's the funniest guy. He's bad hockey takes. He
Yeah,
sometimes he does a interesting mustache. He's got a lot of humor,
he
and
wears bow ties. I mean, he's just a good guy, right? So
he's an
for
accomplished roller. He just rolls, and then the next day, just the same thing. Just like you talk about consistency with your show
right,
and what makes it successful. And I think with greenkeeping, just giving Michael the rolling task every day, he's quite good at
right,
that.
right. So, well, okay. So, getting back to my point, Michael, I think is a really interesting person that needs to be heard, and he's not necessarily the most popular. He's not necessarily. He doesn't have the 5,000 followers on Turf Twitter, right?
Hmm.
But I like Michael's story, so I want to tell Michael's story, right?
Hmm.
It had people are listening, right? But it's not like a James Bled, and this is no mark against you, Michael, if you're listening. James Bledge, everybody listens. Everybody stops what they're doing and will listen to James Bledge. But if they see Michael Cantor come up, they may go to their Conan O'Brien, their Bill Simmons. They may go to the Frankly Speaking. They may go to something else and come back to Michael Cantor because they don't necessarily know Michael Cantor. But
Hmm.
I find Michael Cantor to be extraordinarily interesting and funny. And when I read his tweets, I die laughing. And I don't care if one person listens. I'm just going to put Michael Cantor out there because I find it interesting in the same way that you find grass on a tram line interesting that stokes you out so much that you're going to write a blog piece about it.
That's a good explanation. Yeah, I think my advice to you about starting a website that is modern and has a wide range of turfgrass content on it, turf and golf and sport related content, is just like, man, there's a lot of competition out there and a lot of competition for people's time. And
Yeah.
I think that's good to remind me of that because when I'm walking around cities looking at grass, and when I'm constantly looking at grass. Like when I was talking with Andrew Thompson in a recent episode, and
Oh, which was so good. I mean, so good. He's awesome.
He's awesome, but that's another one that just gets average numbers of views where I think, okay, this is somebody who's been in parliament in Australia. His father's a five-time open champion. He's
Yeah,
a great storyteller. And I'm like, yeah, this is the type of episode that probably a lot of people are gonna listen to, and it just goes just like all the other ones. Because I
yeah,
think maybe people, because he's not American, maybe people don't know who he is, and they're like, "What's the Open Championship?" They only know the British Open or something. Maybe they just don't quite know who this guy is. But he's the best storyteller ever, and
yeah.
He's talking about places like Royal Melbourne, about Hoy Lake. He's talking about the grass at Hoy Lake. He's talking about Tokyo Golf Club, Hirono, a lot of world top 100 courses, the old course at St. Andrews. You know, here's somebody who's named after St. Andrews. And he
Yes, I
tells the
know that was the
story of
excellent
that.
story. What a fantastic story that was, right?
Yeah.
It was
And
so good.
and I'll put a link to that show in the description also for anybody who hasn't caught it. Andrew Thompson is just a great storyteller, and sometime in that conversation, we were also talking about me usually just keeping my eyes down, even when I'm walking around golf courses, just looking at what's underfoot. But those
Yeah,
stunning golf courses in the Goto Islands that Andrew, I'm he he discovered it for me in terms of I'd been to Japan 100 times and never had heard of those golf courses, didn't realize that they were even there. And Andrew found those through one of his friends, and I had a chance to go visit and play those courses with him, and the scenery is so stunning. It's just those are some of the most beautiful course. I mean, it's the most beautiful land for anything, for wagyu cattle raising, or for a golf course. It's just stunning right by the ocean on these beautiful
I
islands.
know, and just the story behind them was so fantastic. But I know, I think it's getting back to your blog post. It's just I think that's what we still need to do, and that's what I admire about you, Mike, is that you're not just doing it because you want attention. You're doing it because you're passionate about it and you find things that are interesting, and you don't what you find interesting you're going to write about and be passionate about and write passionately about it. And I think that's where we're similar, where if I find a story that I think is good, I'm going to tell it regardless of how many people like it or not, if that makes any sense. Does it?
That totally makes sense. So yeah, I enjoy this. I hope that you will be a regular guest on my show to talk about these posts that bomb, because I have a lot of them, and so I think that it could just be a theme of, if I'm talking about the if I'm giving the double cut treatment to something that wasn't any good, I'm then we know that Joe Gulotti is going to be here talking with me about it. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
It gives
no,
me
it's
an excuse to have a conversation with you.
I love it. I love it. And listen, I've had episodes that bombed. I totally know. I mean, I'm not gonna call those people out, but I there have been episodes where I just those beginning episodes, whew, cringing, tough. I just, but no, I know. I can't wait. I would love to be a part of uh, your bomb blog post.
All right. All right, Joe. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, please come back
I will
sometime.
come back anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
Well, I think we gave that post a good double cut treatment. Talked about a few
Yeah.
things about the blogging game, about the podcasting business, the way that we do it. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome, Mike. And thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Well, I am not going to take up any more of our viewers or listeners' time with this particular post that nobody really paid attention to. So we've given it a second chance. Hopefully, a few more people will check it out. There will be a direct link to that in the description, in the show notes. And I will sign off for ATC from Yantakao, Thailand. I'm Michael Woods. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, everybody, for listening.